All right. Here we are. We've got the last 5 parts on the green sheet to do, which are numbers 16 through 20. There we go. All right, so here we are. We'll try again. Now that I'm ready. We're gonna do numbers 16 through 20. Again, not necessarily in order of complexity on the sheet, but we're gonna do them in order just to keep them organized. So we're gonna start with 16, and if you remember from last time, it's a lot like 15. We're gonna do the same basic steps. We're gonna make a sort of bottom bracket situation, platform type of thing, same as the for number 15, and then we'll just work our way around and build up the different features. Okay, so the first portion is going to be the base, which same as before, it's going to be 1 tall, and its width is 2, 6, 2. It's 8 wide and 5 front to back. And I'm going to start on the XY plane because I'm just going to draw this 1x8 and extrude it 5. And it's not super critical, as I say every time, which plane you start on, but you might as well do it the most correct. And so we're going to start with our front, which, like I said, is 8-inch wide and a 1-inch tall. And we can finish sketch and extrude. And we want to extrude it a distance of 5. Okay, and coincidentally, same thing as before, we have these 2 holes with a diameter of 1 inch, but the center point is not exactly on a grid intersection for each of them. They're 1.5 out, which was the same over here for number 15, which is the same situation where we have this filleted, rounded over edge with the same radius. We can do them all at the same time. If we do the fillet first, we will get an auto projected center point for the other ones, and it'll let us skip a step. So we're going to do fillet and we're going to choose these 2 tiny vertical edges, which, like we said, the radius here is 1.5. Okay, and that's our first part feature. Well, second, the bracket extrusion is the first. And so now these 1-inch diameter holes, we're just going to do a sketch on the top. And again, I don't know why it always goes to that. We get these auto projected points that we can make our 1-inch circles on. There's one. Oh, and I keep meaning to do, let's see here, view, no, application, options, tools, document settings, sketch, and there we go. 16. Perfect, much better. Okay, so we have our 2 circles, and we just need to dimension them. They each are a diameter of 1. And we have another D for dimension, diameter of 1. We can then finish sketch, extrude, choose each of these circles, switch it to cut, and go through all. Okay, and then we have this sort of tower part, which, as we did before, these sort of curves right here are fillets, but they are like interior fillets that will create the material when you create them on that inside edge. But in order to start, we need the footprint, which is just 2 by 4. If you extend this down to here and extend this down to here, you can see it's 4 wide and 2 front to back. And then we're going to extrude at a distance, but let's make that sketch correct first. So we need a sketch on the top face, a rectangle, and we want the rectangle to be like here-ish. 2 by 4. We don't want it snapped to the corner because, you know, we need an offset. So we're going to get a rectangle and snap it to the back edge here, first click, and second click somewhere in space over here so that it's going the right direction, but it's not snapped to anything else. And we know this base is 4 wide and 2 technically deep because it's front to back, but we still have a dimension needed. We're not fully constrained, and that's because we need this to be exactly 2 inches from, well, either side. So we're going to get the dimension tool, click once on this line right here, and click again on the side of everything, and then click in between 2, we'll center it. Okay, and so we can finish sketch and extrude this, but we don't know how far to extrude yet. It's probably something like that, but let's look at this. We are extruding from the height of, or the elevation of this plane, so that's where we need to count from. And I'm going to make the entire thing like a brick or a rectangle, and then round it over and do extruding like we have. But this first height, how high is this highest point above where we are? That's our length of extrusion. Okay, so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It is 9 tall. It's an extrusion of 9 above this height. So let's go ahead and extrude it 9. Okay, and now, so we have a circular extrusion here, like this rounded face, and it's going to come out of this shape and extrude it out, but we can just fill it over these edges to get the shape started. And if we know this is 4 all the way across, we know that we can make a fillet with a diameter or radius 2 here and another one radius 2 here, and it will make a nice smooth rounded over. So let's get the fillet, and we want to choose this one and this one, and we want a radius of 2, and it smooths it over. And while we have the fillet tool out, we can go ahead and do these inside edges here and here, and those also are a radius of 2, which you can see these tiny little center marks, which they're out in space. So you say, why is it a center mark? Well, it's the center of this radius, or this fillet, this rounded edge. But that is, if you were to continue, it's the center point of that thing right there. And it is a radius of 2, which is why we put that in there. Okay, and so we have that rounded over. Now, I think we can do this in 2 more steps. We need to make this extension, which is really just this shape extruded 2 more, because this is 4 front to back, this is 2, which means we need 2 more. And once we do that, we'll have a surface to make this circle and cut it back. So the first one, let's go ahead and put a sketch on this face and get a circle, snaps to center, first click, and second click somewhere on this edge, anywhere, including the snaps. It doesn't matter because it will be fully constrained. Finish sketch, extrude, choose this, and we want to extrude 2 more than we already have. So that makes 4 front to back. And then the circle in the middle, we need a sketch on the front face there. And we're going to make a circle with a 2-inch diameter and cut it all the way through. So right now we are sketching. I just put a sketch on the front of that, the thing we just did, and we need a circle, center point, and just, well, actually you could see that text box that's right next to where I'm clicking that says like 2.4. If I don't, like I clicked once to start the circle, if I don't click anything and just type 2, enter, it will make the circle and dimension it in a single move. We can finish sketch, extrude, choose that, switch it to cut, and switch it to through all. Hit OK. And that's it, part 15. Excuse me, 16. Okay, and the rest of them are pretty easy. As far as just figuring out, it's about figuring out the steps. You all, if you've made it to this point, you all are capable of the steps. The issue is, what is the order to create these the most effectively? Part 17 is a lot like some of the other ones that were easy, where we're just going to start with a brick, a chunk of marble that our sculpture is inside of, and then we're going to cut away everything we don't want, which are this sort of ramp thing over here and this semicircle extrusion cut down. So what is the size of our block? Our block of marble is 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. It's 8 wide. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tall, and extruded 6. So 8 by 5 on the front and then extruded 6. And this is an easy one to mess up anytime it's like close to which is one side or the other. In this case, the front is 8 by 5 and the top is 6 by 5, 8 by 6, 8 by 5 and 8 by 6. It's easy to mess up, so it's good to keep track of what the front is. In this case, I'm going to sketch on the XY plane so that it's facing the front, and we're going to dimension it to 8 wide and 5 tall. And we're going to finish sketch and extrude it 6. So it's deeper than it is tall. That's important. And of the 2 remaining features, I'm going to sketch this. I'm going to make this shape right here, but on the left side, so that I can cut extrude it in. Okay, so I need to turn it so I can see the left face. We're going to put a sketch here, put a circle, excuse me, put a, document settings and sketch and every 16. There we go. And okay, so the shape of the cutaway is an arc here, but as per usual, circle will always be a closed loop. So it's not a bad idea to use the circle of whatever size, because we need to dimension. This arc, well, you can see this tiny mark here that's barely visible, is the center point for this arc, and it has a radius of 4. Okay, but circles are dimensioned by their diameter, so we need to make it an 8. And that will be the shape of the cutaway. And so we're going to finish sketch, extrude. We can choose everything, but it's not really necessary. We're just going to choose this. We're going to switch it to cut. And how far do we want to cut in? We want to cut in 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's that. And then the last part feature is this arc here. We're just going to sketch on the top and make an arc here. This has a radius of 2, but the key is that it is 1, 2, 1, 2, but then another 1. So this is the center point of the side. Okay, remember, everything has size and location. The size of this arc is a radius of 2, but its center point is 3 from either side. It's centered on this edge, so we can just get a snap there. This will be super easy. Let's start a sketch on the top face. And we will circle, and you can get the exact center snap, which is a green dot exactly halfway. First click and then second click out anywhere, just so long as you don't snap it to anything else, because we still want to dimension it. And our goal is to have, that's not it. Oh, that worked. Okay, our goal is to have a radius of 2. We're only worried about this arc, the part we're going to cut out. And in order to have this radius of 2, the circle needs to be diameter 4. It's the same thing. So we'll dimension this circle to diameter 4. That will give us the size that we want to cut out. And we'll finish sketch, always looking at it from a 3D view when you're doing a part feature, and 2D when you're doing a sketch. And we'll switch to cut and do through all. And there is number 17. Actually 18 is a little more complex than 17, 19, and 20. It's a little bit closer to 15 and 16 as far as number of features. But we will do the same thing. I'm going to start with this base that's too tall. It is 8 wide, and its distance front to back all the way is 3 here and 2 more, 5. So 2 by 8 extruded 5 will be our base. Okay, so we are in a new part. We need a new sketch on the XY plane. Maybe that's too many. Hold on. View, tools. I'm trying to figure out this grid situation so that it's not too crowded. Oh, maybe I'm just super zoomed in. Okay, and so we're sketching again on the front, rectangle, which is 2 tall, 8 wide, and extruded 5. 2 tall, 8 wide, finish sketch, home to zoom out, extrude, choose this, and extrude it 5. Okay, so that is our base. Now, there are these rounded over fillets here that are a radius of just 1. You can see the little center mark, especially if I zoom in. You can see this one is 5 front to back, if that's the dimension you're interested in. Okay, so they have these little center marks here, which is the center of this rounded over, which is a radius of 1. But the way that I'm going to make this notch, I want to be able to dimension more easily. So I'm going to make the notch first because it's more of a square thing. And for this notch, I could either put a rectangle on the front and extrude it in a distance of 1, like cut extrude, or I could put a rectangle on the top and cut extrude it down all the way through, which is what I'm going to do, just because that'll be a cut extrusion. And so I need a 1 by 4, but the key is that it needs to be located and it's 2 from the side. So let's put a sketch on here and we'll rotate, and a rectangle that, if you make sure you know where we're sketching on this long edge. We need a rectangle that snaps somewhere to the front edge, but not a center point or a corner. And this rectangle is 1 front to back. This needs to be 1, and this other one needs to be 4. So let's get dimension tool and dimension this one to 4 and this one to 1. And once again, we still need one dimension, and that is the location of the rectangle left to right. And the distance from either one of these sides of the rectangle and the side of everything is still 2, which will center it. You can see down here, we're fully constrained. Is someone going to point out that this is, oh, okay, it's fine. Sorry. Okay, so I've got it in the correct location. Let's finish sketch, and we can extrude, choose that, switch it to cut, and go through all. Okay, so that's this notch. Then we have a couple fillets, which are radius 1 on both sides. So let's get a fillet and choose each of these vertical lines, or vertical edges, excuse me, and make the dimension 1. And there we go. We got the entire notch situation there. Okay, for the taller part, we could do what we've done before, which is like sketch the footprint. For instance, this shape right here is 2 by the entire width, which would be like this. And then we could extrude it up the front edges. The vertical edges right there and right there that are diameter 1. You want me to go back a step? Okay, let's delete this. Okay, you've made it to this point. Okay, so we'll do fillet and choose this vertical edge and this vertical edge, radius 1. And so we could do that footprint. I kind of want to build it on the back and extrude it forward, maybe. Okay, so let's do it that way. We're going to do this in 2 steps. We're going to make this entire sketch, but on the back face, because we want to extrude it forward. And then we'll make it the entire solid thing and then make the circle and cut it out. So it's going to be a little more work on the sketch side instead of the part side, but you know, like the sketch, draw 2-dimensional parts and a single extrusion rather than one extrusion and then a fillet, then it's more and more and more. So I'm just going to sketch on the back. You can see if you're following along, your faces will match mine and also match making sense. If this is the front, this is the back. And the shape we want to make is a rectangle that's the entire width, and then an arc that has the same center point of that rectangle, like a semicircle arc. Okay, so looking at it straight from the back, I'm going to get a rectangle that snaps to this corner, and you can get a soft snap to this other side. We'll just make it anywhere because we still want to fully dimension, starting from this corner. And its height, if you recall, was 4, and its width was the entire width, which is 8. And you could have gotten a sufficient snap on the other side. That's fine. And then the arc, we'll just use a circle because a circle is always going to be a center point arc and always a closed loop. If we find the exact center point as the first click and second click as one of the corners of the rectangle, it will be fully constrained. Now, we could put another circle, trim out the middle, and do the entire extrusion in one step, but I think it's easier to do a cut extrusion as the second step. And so we'll finish sketch, extrude, choose everything that we just made. And we want to extrude it 2 inches to the front. Thank you. So we're extruding 2. And there you go, there's that. And then the hole in the middle, we're gonna get an auto projected center point because we made this arc, and you can see that's what we want. If you follow this extension line out, these extension lines are just sort of like construction lines. They aren't object lines. What's up? You're redo that circle, but hold on. On your side over here, do you have more than one sketch? Like, does it say sketch 3 and sketch 4? Like over here on the side, does it say like sketch? Sorry for those of you following along. Like over here, do you have multiple sketches? Yeah, if you have more than one sketch, like sketch 3 and sketch 5 and sketch 6 or something like that. Oh, then you don't. Then that's not the problem. So that's good. Give me a second. Let me see if I can fix this. It would be nice if I could do that from here. The key is that I don't think your circle is snapped, which is why it's still green. I think it's just floating. Okay, so for those of you who follow along at home or in here, we just did the circle and rectangle, with the circle being the hold on a second, with the circle being the snapped so that it's not, we don't even need to dimension it. And hold on, working on other things real quick. No, it didn't work the way I wanted to. Okay, then, all right, so we did the extrusion. Now we just need a hole in the middle. We're gonna start a sketch on this face, and again, we get a same center point. Let's get a circle from here and dimension. And this one's diameter is 4. It's a diameter of 4. Remember, circles are dimensioned by their diameter all the way across. It's a distance of 4. And then we can finish sketch and extrude, choose this, switch it to cut, and go through all. Okay, that is number 18. And then 19 and 20 are pretty straightforward, so to speak. Okay, so for number 19, again, we're going to do the chunk of marble and cut away everything that's not our sculpture. Okay, so we need the dimensions of the front and then extrude it 4. The dimensions of the front are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it 7? Okay, so it's 7 tall, and its width left to right is 2 to there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 by 7, extrude 4. And so let's go through a quick question. I think you're going slow. And we're Okay, so it was 9 wide, 7 tall, extrude 4. So we'll start a sketch if we're sketching from the front. And let's get a rectangle and dimension it to, like I said, 7 tall, 9 wide. Is that right? Or is it 6 tall? 1, 2, 3, 4. It is 7 tall. Weird. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 9 by 7. Strange. Looks different. And we'll finish sketch, extrude it. 4. There's only one thing to extrude. You don't need to select it. It selects it for you. Okay, and so there is our first part. There's 2 other features here. We need to cut away this amount to make the sloped edge, sloped part. All right, yeah, sloped. And then we can do a circle. I'm actually going to do the circle first because from experience, this center point doesn't actually lie on this edge once it's cut, but it's very close and it can be a pain to snap. And if you snap it to the wrong place, it'll break it. So we're going to do the circle first so that we can use the entire area to give it its size and location. And once that's cut all the way through, we'll do another sketch on the front and draw that line and cut back the area we want to cut. So this circle, which technically it's an arc because it's not enclosed, we're still going to use a circle because that's an easy way to cut extrude. And I guess over on the back, technically it's a circle. Anyway, it is a radius of 2. So if we need a circle, it's a diameter of 4. So let's go ahead and sketch on the front face. We'll get a circle that's roughly in the correct location. And I'm going to set the dimension to 4 before I even click. You can see that blue area. So just type 4, enter. And if we get rid of the circle tool, you can see we still need 2 dimensions. And the 2 dimensions we need are its distance from the bottom and its distance from the side. Remember, size and location. Location is 2 directions. And this point, our center point that we're dimensioning, is 4 from the bottom and 1, 2, and 4 from the side. Convenient. So we'll dimension the distance. First click on the center point, second click on the bottom edge, and third click in the middle. Distance of 4. And same thing from here. No, I want dimension tool. First click, second click, click to set, type 4, and enter. Now we can finish sketch, extrude, choose our circle, switch it to cut, and go through all. Hit OK. That is the first part feature. Well, second, because the first extrusion is a part feature. And this last part, we've done similar things. We just need to put a sketch on the front and draw a line that snaps to the top, snaps to the bottom. And then we're just going to dimension the distance that we want it to be this direction and the distance that we want it to be this direction. Because remember, for a sloped line, you don't need to know its length or its angle. As long as you know where the line starts and finishes, that's all you need to know. And so the top part is 3 from the left. So once we put it on there, we're going to dimension the location 3 from the left. And this one is 7 from the left, which is the same as 2 from the right. But we'll just dimension what we're keeping. So we need a sketch on the front. We need a line tool that snaps once to the top somewhere, but not the center point, not the green dot, just somewhere on the edge. And then same thing down here, somewhere on the edge, but not the center point. Okay, you need to get that soft snap. And the distance, the dimension, is the distance from this endpoint. You need to get that little red dot as your first click. And the second click, you can either get the side or this corner. Either way, it's going to be the same dimension. And it is 2. And from down here to the corner or the side, same thing, is 7. And you can see that if we made that center point circle, it's very easy to put it on the line, even though it's not on the line. And we'll finish sketch and extrude. And we want to extrude just this section. We want to switch it to cut, and our cut extrusion distance is 2. And there you go. That is part 19. Okay, last one as we fly through and then come around for help. Let's get a new part. And let's go ahead and do this. Okay, and our, what's it called? Strategy for part 20. We're gonna do the same thing again. Start with a big brick, everything that we start with, and cut away the stuff we don't want. Okay, and again, we'll sketch on the front because why not? It's 4 tall, 8 wide, and 1, 2, 5 deep. No, 6 tall, 6 by 8, extrude 5. Okay, so we can start a sketch here. We draw the front, rectangle, dimension 8 wide, and 6 tall. Finish sketch, extrude it, 5. Right, and then the parts we don't want we need to cut away, like this shape, and cut all the way over. And then somehow we need to make this cut and extrude the other part. Let's do this arc part first. Okay, you can see from these construction lines that the center point is this. And the dimensions of the arc, we want a radius of 4. So we're going to make a circle with a diameter 8 and cut everything across. So we're going to sketch on the right face, get a circle, snap it to this top corner. And in order to make this a radius of 4, I need to make it a diameter of 8. And there you go. There's your 8-inch circle. We'll finish sketch and extrude. We could choose everything we just made, but only the inside matters. Switch it to cut and go through all. Okay, there's the first part, or the second part feature technically. And then in order to make this trough, there's a couple ways, but I think the easiest, most direct is to sketch on the back a rectangle that is 3 tall and 4 wide, and then cut extrude all the way forward. You can see there's like this. You can see there's like this extra bit right here. And that's because it doesn't end on a grid line, because there's this curved face. So we'll just sketch on the back face and cut extrude through all forward, and it will just keep cutting where it needs to. Okay, and the size of this cut is 3 tall, and we can presume it goes all the way back. So it's 3 tall and 4 wide. And since it's not snapped to a side, we will need to dimension its distance from the side, which is 2. Okay, and then this will be our last part feature of the entire green sheet. Start a sketch here. We need a rectangle that snaps to the top, but not a center point. And just make it look about right, because we're going to dimension it. It's 4 wide and 3 tall. And again, we need to dimension its side-to-side location, which is why it's still green. And that is the distance from this line to this line. And click in between, distance of 2. Finish sketch, extrude, choose our rectangle, switch it to cut, and through all, and making sure it's going the correct direction. We haven't had this issue before, but if you switch it to cut, like if you switch direction to extrude it out, but then switch it to cut, it will break it. So you need to make sure it's extruding the correct direction. Usually all you need to do is switch it to cut and it will flip the correct location. So we want to cut and through all. Hit OK. And that's it for the green sheet. Give me a second to let this process, and then I can upload it to the YouTube and you'll be good to go. Okay, and I can come around and help and grade stuff momentarily.